Broadcasting live from global headquarters at RP Enterprises in Greenwood, Missouri.
Stand by on this frequency.
After 22 years of entertaining FM radio listeners across the U.S., this man is the owner and executive producer of the award-winning Heartland Waterfowl on Sportsman's Channel, CEO and founder of Dumar Chemical Solutions, and the man behind the mic of Papa Ron radio voiceovers and production. He's the man, the myth, the legend, a global icon, future Nobel Prize winner, and of course he paid me to say all this.
Really?
Literally. Welcome to the Papa Ron Podcast. Here's your host, Ronnie Phillips.
And new host, Jillian Gregg. Welcome. Episode 19 of the Papa Ron Podcast, the first episode where Jillian is officially a co-host. I guess I need to work on the imaging.
It's fine.
Been a little busy, Jill. I'm sorry.
Got the contract signed.
Yes.
Huge salary, benefits, the whole thing. So, super proud.
You got to go somewhere else for the insurance.
Yeah.
And the signing bonus.
And the
salary.
Exactly.
Whatever, it's fine.
So today's guest of the Papa Ron Podcast is a friend of mine for probably about 10 years. We crossed paths on accident back about 10 years ago when we decided, actually maybe even 11 years ago, because we didn't even have the show on the air yet. We were trying to start Heartland Waterfowl. And Logan and I decided we were going to go to North Dakota to hunt with our buddy Nate Flynn, who's got his own hunting lodge called Central Dakota Lodge. And we get up there probably about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Y'all drove all night.
All night. And as soon as we get there, I'm thinking, I cannot wait to get there and go to sleep. Nope, that's not the plan. We're going to get there. We're immediately going to change and go to the field, which was cold and windy, and I was not prepared. And this guy happened to be our guide for that particular hunt. Welcome to episode 19 of the Papa Ron Podcast, my buddy Joe Palumbo. Yay!
Thank you. It means a lot. Never thought I'd be here. Thank you.
Never thought that was going to happen.
You would have told me.
We talked about doing it.
Hey.
It's a little tough to do when you now reside in Midland, Texas.
So I was going to ask, am I the furthest traveling guest that you've had? I mean, I drove 780 miles today to be here for this.
How many hours is that?
It was 11 and a half. To me, 11 and a half.
Ew.
Don't let him fool you. This is not why.
Solely.
Partly.
What?
So why are you really here?
I'm headed, speak of the lodge and Nate and Central Dakota Lodge. That's where I'm headed. I'm going to be up there for the next 6 weeks guiding duck hunts and pheasant hunts in North Dakota. So I always come through Kansas City, hang out, spend the night, see some friends. I just had a dinner at Logan and Haley's. Shout out Haley for some
what'd she make?
Bomb ass veggie soup, dude.
Veggie soup. Yeah. I was thinking she would probably do the
What?
chicken spaghetti.
No. Well, we get that plenty.
Yes.
She switched it up, but I just love to come and stop and hang out here, get a good night's rest, and I'll get up early in the morning, and I should be at the lodge 4:30. Time for a cold beer.
Yeah,
so.
It is a pretty good little halfway point between here and where you're going.
It's perfect.
So back to the story. Which I've only briefed Jill a little bit on our background and how we met. So a lot of this is going to be foreign to her and new.
Good.
So if you have any questions, feel free to jump in to get some clarity.
Got it.
Because there might be stuff that I just take for granted. So we are, trying to start this show. I'm trying to remember if I was even working at the radio station then.
I think you were still.
I think you were,
I think I was.
Because I think, I remember after, meeting you for the first time, I think I downloaded the Q104 app. Literally, I'm not kidding. Just so I could, who is this guy?
Those wheels were in motion when the other wheels were kind of slowing down.
Those wheels were definitely in motion.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes when I should have been working for the radio station.
Because you were selling hats and stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
At the bar, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we tell that story?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Can we tell the story about the PBR base guy?
Oh, sure. Well, wait a minute. We're getting a little.
Wait. Which story? Wait.
Let's get a little. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
We'll the cart here.
We'll get to the PBR.
Okay.
But that is a funny story. So we go to North Dakota. I'm still working for the radio station. I think I go on a couple days vacation, and we extend it over a weekend so that I can go up there. And we're trying to film a pilot episodes that we can then give to the network to basically get the thumbs up to have a TV show.
Sure.
Hopefully.
And we get up there, and Joe is our guide. And Joe, full of personality, was kind of a jerk the first morning. Do you remember that morning?
Very distinctly. Literally like it was yesterday. Because like you guys showed up. I was like,
we're dragging ass tired.
First of all, can we cuss on this podcast? Because
sure. If you feel like you need to, go for it.
I remember literally like walking out of my room, and I see you guys like you just pulled up. You're unloading this big trailer and truck, and I'm like, all right, you guys need to get your shit changed because we're headed to the field right now. And you're like, where are we going? I was like, we're going 45 minutes north of here. Are you coming or not?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like,
this was our first introduction to Joe.
And like, but you gotta realize like I'd already been guiding like 25, 30 days at this point. And I'm like,
you're in your home stretch,
right?
Of like ready to be done.
Last thing I want to do is like babysit some TV guys, and I'm not. It's literally how I felt. Like I don't. But like,
when you had the conversation with Nate Flynn about us coming, you're like, you were pissed.
No, because
you made it sound like you were babysitting TV guys.
No, I didn't mean it like that. So like, I knew what the objective was, that this was the pilot for a sister show of HB, and of course, I loved HB and always had a tie with those guys from working for Nate for so long. So like, I was on board 100%. As soon as he was like, "Hey, this is what we're doing," I was like, I'm your guy, obviously. Like, let me do this. So, and then, you guys show up 4 a.m, and I'm like, are we going to go make some television or what? All right, like, no. But no, like, and we went out that morning.
It was a decent hunt.
Yeah. I mean, we shot like 20 couple ducks, couple geese.
We shot a bunch of snow geese. I mean, not a bunch, like maybe 15 or 20.
Right. But we had,
we
had a really good trip those couple days that y'all were there, though.
Yeah, no, there was definitely some good hunts there.
Oh, yeah.
I just remember that first morning, and we're, I don't know, like, again, we get there, we get unpacked, and we're getting dressed to go hunt. Like, I've had no time to get my bearings. I'm tired as hell.
Right.
I have no idea what we're getting into, what we're going to hunt. And Jill, what you may or may not understand is I'm not the biggest fan of snow goose hunting.
Okay.
So because it requires a lot of extra work.
Okay.
It's a high risk, high reward game.
Okay.
You can shoot more of them.
Okay.
When they do it right, they're fun to shoot, but oftentimes they don't do it right. They don't do it right. Right. So when I get there and I'm thinking we're coming to North Dakota to the prairie pothole region to shoot ducks, and Joe pulls out these white decoys.
Yeah, pull out some snow goose decoys.
And I'm like, what in the hell are these? And you're like, come on, man, we got to get these. We got to get them set up. And I'm like,
because we were running late.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
And so I'm thinking we're going on a duck hunt. What is it? We're going to put out 8 to 12 dozen decoys. No, now I understand. We got to put all these
to get the
Texas rags out, as I like to call them.
And how cold was it? Because that's all I can think about.
It was cold. It was probably 20s. It was like 20 something.
You remember what I was wearing?
Yeah, I do remember. So he's wearing just a hoodie. He probably has a long underwear underneath it, but he's got a hoodie on and he's got holey jeans.
Like holes all in them.
And the old school long underwear.
Like old school,
like the waffle print.
Yes.
Like the,
Yes.
Like your grandpa's long undies.
Yeah. Like the grandpa in Willy Wonka, right?
Yes, exactly.
He's got hoopty earrings. And he's got a lip ring. And I'm like, man, we really got some hood rat who's guiding us here on this hunt.
Hey, it was a weird time in my life, dude.
Yeah, I know, but we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that here in a little bit because there is a reason that Joe is here outside of just us being hunting buddies. And it's a really, really interesting story. And we're going to get into that later. But anyway, so we get into this hunt and we have a pretty good hunt. Joe and I connect. We start getting along. We find out that K-State and Oklahoma State's going to be playing football that Saturday.
Who's that quarterback?
Colin Klein.
Optimus Klein. What a douche. What a douche. What a terrible nickname. I will never forget that.
Optimus Klein.
I remember because I just so happened to have an Oklahoma State
T-shirt. Yes, you did.
And I'm not an OK State fan. I'm just a college football fan. I like the shirt. I bought the shirt. It was orange. It looked good on me.
Yeah.
And I knew that Ronnie was like, diehard kid, we got to be back to watch this game, blah, 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 Big 12 championship, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that was 2012, right?
It was a big year for K-State,
because we won the Big 12 championship.
I remember. So we were going out to hunt that afternoon, and Ronnie comes downstairs, and he's wearing a K-State T-shirt. He's like all pumped up, and I go back in my room, and I get an Oklahoma State T-shirt on.
Yep.
And I put a camo quarter zip over top, and I remember we were sitting next to this little pothole or sheet water, wherever the hell we were, and I don't remember if we were getting updates on the game or what was.
No, we watched the game in the lodge.
Oh, that's right. But
we watched the game in the lodge.
I just remember something where I lifted up my shirt and acted like I was yawning.
Yeah,
and I had this bright orange Oklahoma State Cowboys T-shirt, and Ronnie damn near shit his pants.
Yeah, right.
Well, Jill does know that about me.
Yeah, I do.
She knows my passion for K-State.
Oh,
yeah.
Anyway, so
SEC baby.
Here
we go. yeah. Big weekend for K-State.
Yeah,
Y'all
beat Oklahoma.
Y'all are on your high horse. I know.
Damn right.
I know. Hey, good for y'all.
To hell with all those SEC teams.
That's right, dude. That's right.
I got to be careful. There might be an SEC fan listening.
That's all right. We're allowed to have differing opinions.
But we did beat Missouri, and now we beat Oklahoma.
Hey.
All SEC. All right, so let's move on. One other fun story. Actually, it's not a fun story. It's a real shitty story, to be quite honest with you, about that particular trip. The weather was crap. It was terrible. And on our third hunt, because I think we were there for 4 hunts, on our third hunt, we're going to do an afternoon hunt, and the snow has come down. We had freezing rain in the morning, and so we've got a field, and the ducks are just right. They're pouring into this field. It's right next to the water.
It's perfect.
It's going to be a great hunt. We load up all the camera gear. It's basically out of normally we have it in a Pelican case. We're in a hurry. It's just sitting in the back seat of my truck.
And it's whiteout conditions, big white snowflakes.
It sounds miserable.
It was bad. The weather was awful.
Yeah.
We get to where we're getting ready to turn, and in the hunt before, the trailer lights that we had
went out.
The trailer lights were out because the wiring harness got ripped out by the corn stalks from the hunt the day before.
Okay.
So icy road. I don't see the taillights.
The taillights.
No trailer.
No taillights. There's another. This is a 2-lane highway. Another car coming from the opposite direction. My only other option is this huge ditch, which, by the way, is next to a cemetery.
Coincidentally.
And somehow I'm trying to pump the brakes. Nothing's working. I'm thinking I'm scared to death.
How fast are you going, do you think?
Oh, probably
too fast.
Yeah,
we were in a hurry, of course.
I mean, for the conditions being what they were, and we were getting ready to turn, I bet 45.
Okay.
So not 80 or anything like that, but we're getting ready to turn, and I can't turn, and then we're going 40. So anyway, side swipe the back corner of the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
It busts my mirror. It completely dents in my back quarter panel. I go past the intersection on the right-hand side of the truck, the passenger side, into the next ditch, into that field. You can imagine my heart is coming through my chest.
Sure.
I look back. Caleb, who was on our team then, is trying to juggle all these cameras.
Sitting in the front seat. Sitting in the front seat at that point.
Flying all over the place.
Right.
Joe, everybody's freaking out because he's in the truck in front of us. He comes running out there, freaking out, running up to me. I'm bent over on the side of my truck. I see my truck's destroyed. I mean, it's drivable, but it's all beat up. And he's like, "Oh my God, Ronnie, are you okay?" I'm trying to catch my breath. I go, "Yeah, I think so." He's like, "Okay, good. Let's go." We got to get these ducks.
Right.
And we did.
We did. We smoked them.
It was an epic hunt. It was one that we talk about to this day.
We did. Actually, we talked about it in a episode, which is a kind of a podcast of Heartland Waterfowl called Behind the Blind, where And Jill, but this was 10 years ago, so you probably don't remember this, but you remember when Jared Neiman played Hot Country Thursday nights, and it was my last night. It was my last night of being employed at Q104, and this was kind of like my going out deal.
Yeah.
And we played, I announced on stage what I was doing and why I was leaving, and we played the trailer. In that trailer or hype video is that hunt, and Joe is saying, "Oh my God, we were smoking the mallards."
an epic line,
and it was from that hunt. Anyway, but
a lot of history, dude.
A lot of history.
It's crazy. Like when you look back, it's like 10 years ago. That's a long time. I mean, that's a long time. It's a long time to this day and age to be friends, let alone best friends. I mean, consider somebody a brother. To have that connection with people after one hunt. I mean, ever since that first hunt,
buddies, like solid, close buddies,
right? Ever since that first hunt,
which actually transitions me to the next part of the story. So Joe and I mean, it's not just Joe and I. Joe hits it off with all the guys on the team, but Joe and I have a connection right away. Joe's not on Heartland Waterfowl.
Okay,
he's just a guide.
Okay,
but he's super fan Heartland Waterfowl before Heartland Waterfowl is even a TV, like before we even have a show on the episode or an episode on the air.
Give me all the free hats, dude.
You're trying. You're trying.
You got any stickers?
So we wager on the game.
Okay.
Right. And I win. So, but now he wants all this free stuff, and I'm like,
right.
No, you got to pay. You got to pay this. So he's like, I just paid you like $40 or whatever it was that we bet on the game. And I'm like, I don't care. This show's nothing yet. You're going to pay. So he buys a couple hats, a couple shirts from the back of my truck. And then you're coming. I'm trying to remember how you ended up in Kansas City and at PBR.
So that kind of goes into what we'll talk about here in a minute. But that same season that I met y'all was the same year that I met Dave, who I'm partnered with in Midland.
Okay, so tell the story. So Dave Simon is a big oil guy in West Texas who was his...
So he was a client of mine in North Dakota. Same kind of deal. We hit it off immediately. First hunt, I could tell, me and this guy got along. Right? Sure. And he had offered me... He says to me when he's leaving to go to the airport, he goes, "Hey, man, I could really use somebody like you working for me in Midland." And, when you're in a hunting camp, everybody says shit like that.
Yeah.
Hey, anytime you're in South Louisiana, you come by my duck club, just knock on the door. I'll give you the gate code. Just let me know when you're coming. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And you never hear from him again.
Right.
This dude calls me 2 weeks later, and he's like, "Hey, you coming or what?" Right. And I was like, "Okay. Yeah, give me 3 days to get my affairs in order here, and I'll be on my way." Because
let me ask maybe a dumb question. So doing the hunting guide, is it really just 6 weeks of the year?
No. So when I go to North Dakota to guide up there, that we only run 6 weeks up there.
Okay.
Right? But what I learned after moving to Texas is hunting season is year round. I mean, you can hunt 365 days a year if you really want to.
Okay.
Right. But what I go to North Dakota for is a specific time in the migration to where a lot of the waterfowl that are coming through the Central and Mississippi Flyway, they come right through there. And it's just the peak time to be there.
Okay.
Right.
Makes
so
sense.
It's like, think of Deadliest Catch.
Right.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Okay.
But with ducks. Those guys are only catching crab certain seasons, right? And they go up, they cash in, make a bunch of money in a short period of time.
Even if the weather's super bad.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Every day you got to get up and go. You got to put your bibs on, get out there and go to work, no matter what.
Got it.
So in doing that for a lot of years now, this will be my 16th year guiding hunts in North Dakota. I've been doing it since I graduated high school.
Okay.
So anyway, fast forward to what we're talking about. This gentleman comes up and we headed off, and he, says, "Hey, I could use somebody like you working for me." And he sure as shit, he calls me 2 weeks later. And that weekend when I came through here, that was when I was leaving Bismarck to go to Midland for the first time. But I crashed on Nate Flynn's couch for a couple days, and because I was still kind of unsure.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, I'm going to drive.
So you took your time.
I'm going to drive to Kansas City. I'm going to hang out at Nate's house for a couple of days and, maybe
Make sure you're not making like a
right, but
Hangs out with
decision.
Ronnie at PBR for a night or two.
That's always a good call.
So like this is like before like Ronnie and I are like still like really
We
good
just
friends.
met.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
we just met like 3 weeks prior.
I was
to
going
this.
to say it's in the same 6-week window.
Right.
Yeah,
So like, hey man, I'm in town. What's going on? You know, where's the party at tonight? And he's like, dude, Hot Country Nights, come down. As soon as you get here, just tell them you know me.
I don't think it was Hot Country Nights.
Or whatever. We
I
were
think
at
it was
Whiskey Bangos or whatever. And I walk in literally.
Whiskey Bangos.
Hey.
Okay, first of all, it was PBR.
Whatever.
Big Sky.
Yeah. We went to
Well, they're right next to each other, aren't they?
No, Whiskey Tango's in like Green Valley. Whiskey,
we were at
PBR.
downtown.
We were in the Power and
Downtown,
Light
yeah.
District. Okay, listen.
It's fine.
I don't even remember. So apparently, I don't even remember really where we were.
I get
That's
it.
going to be a
I get it.
precursor of where the night went. But
Yes.
Yeah.
I walk up, like I know Ronnie Phillips, and the dude standing there is, I don't give a shit. So I call Ronnie. I'm like, dude, where are you at? And you and Matt Westcoat come around the corner, and you're like, oh, it's okay, dude. He's with me. And we go in. Ronnie's like, all right, here's the deal. You can ask for anything you want. Drinks are on me. I'm like, okay, awesome. Well, I go get a whiskey and Coke, drink one, go get another whiskey and Coke, and I drop it on the floor. I'm sitting there talking to Ronnie, and I talk with my hands a lot.
Yeah.
This story is actually not entirely accurate.
What?
I'm going to fix this story in a second, but go ahead.
So I proceed to drop like 3 whiskey and Cokes on the floor, and Ronnie finally looks at me and goes, dude, I'm not buying the next one.
He dropped 3 of them. 3 of them. 2 of them on my boots. Okay, so here's how I remember how that story went. You did go to the door and say, I'm with Ronnie Phillips, or I know Ronnie Phillips, and the guy basically said he didn't give a shit.
Right.
I then, get a call from you. I call Will or one of the door guys, and I'm like, hey, my buddy from North Dakota's in town. He's, just go ahead and let him in. I'm not there yet. Oh. But when I do get there, Joe is somehow already in VIP.
I'm already in VIP waiting on you.
With a bunch of girls.
With your tab.
With a bunch of girls. He's just hanging out, and I'm like, what the hell? And he was like, I just told him I was with Ronnie Phillips, and I got in here.
Now, wait, was this with the earrings and the lip ring?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Total hood rat.
Okay.
Total.
I forgot all about that.
Yes.
You're right.
I walked in and went like, dude, you got better service than I do.
I had babes ready.
You did.
I did.
You did.
Yeah.
And so he was already half in the bag before I even got there, which is why it led to every time I got him a drink, he was talking with his hands and couldn't hold his own drink, and things were going
south. You're going south
real quick. All right. So when we come back, we're going to talk about what happened when Joe got down to Texas, because he's got this opportunity of a lifetime with this big, rich oil guy from Midland, Texas, who's going to basically give him the keys to his big old ranch to let him start a new business. And, well, it didn't really turn out that way at first, did it, Joe? All of that's coming up next on the Papa Ron Cliffhanger on Papa Ron Podcast.
Attention. You're listening to the Papa Ron Podcast. Get involved with the show.
Wow, really?
Ask questions and leave comments or complaints.
Woo!
Nice.
Call or text 816-558-6389. That's 816-558-6389. Now back to the show. Here again, your host.
Yes! Great!
Showtime. Ronnie Phillips.
I'm not real sure why I even play that little imaging element that talks about the phone number, because I haven't been promoting the upcoming podcast in a while. That would even give reason for people to call or text in. So maybe I'll start doing a better job at that, because Jillian is now on board as the official host
I'll be
with
your
myself.
text line person.
That's right. Let's get some people in on that text line. We'll find out. Well, I tell you what, I think I can tease this, because it's not officially confirmed, but it's as confirmed as you can be without confirming it. Rodney Hammer, the owner or founder and president of what used to be called Restoration House, now called Rehope.
Yeah.
Who's been on this show, was in episode 2 with me and Sean Luchtel, is coming back.
Okay.
He's going to come back next week. He said he's available either Tuesday or Wednesday
Great.
night, Jill. So
Perfect.
be looking at your schedule.
Perfect.
Excuse me.
Pencil that in.
And so we think we're going to have him on. And the reason we're going to have him on is I want to dive into the subject of human trafficking a little bit more. But he's also got an event that's coming up on October 8th at the Marriott in Overland Park. It's a rappelling event, and it's an opportunity for them to raise some money for their cause and what they're trying to accomplish. And so we'll get more information from Dr. Rodney Hammer of Rehope next week on the Papa Ron podcast. So if you have any questions or comments, you can always get involved by getting in on the text line. All right, back with Joe Palumbo, member of Heartland Waterfowl. He's also a guide at Central Dakota Lodge for Nate Flynn up in North Dakota, and is also, what is your official title of Five Land and Holding?
I would say operations manager.
Okay, all right.
Title with what? Say it again.
Five Land and Holding is the hunting outfit and fishing outfit operation that he has down in West Texas. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But I would say operations manager.
Okay, so operations manager. So Joe he's in Kansas City. He's got this opportunity to go to West Texas to partner up with Dave Simon, who's now become a friend of Heartland Waterfowl and a partner as a sponsor. And you come party with Ronnie and the guys for a couple days, and then you head to Texas.
Right.
And what happens when you get to Midland?
So, man, it's crazy. I get to Midland, and I didn't know anybody in Midland or around Midland except Dave Simon, and I knew him for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And you probably had never even been to Midland prior to this.
Never been to Midland. I've been to Lubbock. I've been to Amarillo, hunted a bunch kind of around there, but I've never.
Oh, so you were familiar with what the armpit of America looked like to a certain degree.
Come on, hey, there might be some West Texas listeners out there. You better tread carefully, sir. But yeah, I was familiar with the panhandle portion of West Texas, but not the oil field West Texas, which is what I was literally thrown in the middle of going to Midland, right? So I get to Midland, and I'm there for a couple of days, and I'm getting to kind of lay out, kind of see what what all this guy that I've known for 3 days might want me to do, and so I'm there about 2 weeks, and I am coming back from one of the ranches that we have, and I get pulled over, and I pull in the parking lot. I got a buggy, I got a dog, a couple guns in the truck,
Were you nervous?
Oh yeah.
You knew what was going to happen.
Big time. Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
I knew. So I get pulled over, and I'll never forget, I pull in a Cracker Barrel. Cop comes up, knocks on the door, license registration. And at the time, I didn't even have a valid driver's license.
Oh.
Right?
Right.
So not only am I 1,500 miles away from home, but I'm driving somebody else's truck with all their equipment, and I don't even have a damn driver's license, right?
How did you get there? How did you get to Midland?
I drove.
I know, but so you were still in your truck.
No, I was in Dave's truck. He was in Houston. He was in Houston for a meeting, so I was in his truck hauling his buggy, going to fill feeders at one of the leases.
Oh, I was trying to, okay. I
Right.
thought you were talking about you were in somebody else's truck that got you to Midland. Okay.
No.
Sorry.
I was just out working, coming back from work,
Yeah.
first couple of days on the job kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, cop comes back, he's like, "Oh, Mr. Palumbo, you ain't got a license." I said, no, sir, I don't. He's like, "Where are you really from?" And I said, "Pennsylvania." It's all right. Give me 1 minute. He comes back a couple minutes later, and he's like, "Man, this is going to sound crazy, but you got a warrant out of York County, Pennsylvania, and they want you."
What?
I said, "Do what?" He goes, "You got to come with me." I said, "Sir, all due respect, I'm not, I'll come with you. I'll do whatever you want me to do, but I need to make 2 phone calls, and I need to figure out what I'm going to do with this truck, my dog, and the buggy before like everything gets impounded." He goes, "Well, if you don't get a hold of somebody, they're going to take your dog to the city dog pound, and the truck's going to go to the
tow lot or whatever.
whatever. Right.
Yeah.
So and this one I had Cheyenne, right. So
That's his black lab.
I'm freaking out. So anyway, I call Dave. I'm like, "Hey man, just got pulled over. I got to go downtown. I'm leaving your truck here at Cracker Barrel. You need to get somebody to come get it," which he did. Anyway.
So did you leave him a message, or did he answer the call?
He answered the phone.
And so he obviously knows nothing about your
He
past.
didn't. No, not at the time. Nope.
And so was it a pretty quick call? Was it
yeah.
pretty much like, this
Because
is what's going on?
I mean, cop was like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you got."
And
one
Dave
minute.
wasn't asking lots of questions?
Nope.
Do you know what the warrant is for at this point? Do you have any
No,
idea? Or you?
I had an idea, but at the time when I was running away from the shit that I was running away from, there was a couple of things that could have maybe stacked up on top of each other. But I knew that when I left Pennsylvania that summer and I went to North Dakota and was there that fall, the fall I met you and the fall that I met this gentleman, I knew that I was leaving a lot of shit on the table back home. Okay. Without any intentions of ever going back.
Oh, I was just going to ask you, was this like, this was it? You were leaving and not going back?
So either I was going to stay in Bismarck and live with a buddy, John Wardner, right? And I was either going to tough it out there or wait for another opportunity. Right. And opportunity knocked. Right. So I went. So get to Midland County Jail. And for those that don't know, Midland's like 2 hours north of the Mexico border. Like it's a border town. Okay. Definitely the minority when I walked in.
Yeah, I was going to say, now you know what it feels like to be a minority.
100%. So I'm still very confused. I'm like, hey, what's going on? They're like, well, you've got a warrant that is extraditable out of York County, Pennsylvania, and they want you. And at the time, I was like, I've seen Con Air, so I know what extradition is, right? But I'm no bullshit. I was expecting a 747 with John Malkovich and Nick Cage to show up, and I'm flying home on that thing, right? Not the case.
Okay.
Not quite. Okay. So I spent. So what I didn't know about extradition was that if you're in another state, the state that wants you, they have 14 days to come get you. If you lapse on that 14 days, Midland, they would have cut me loose and I would have went home, right? So I'm counting down the days, right? I'm sitting there and,
So wait, you're in jail or you're not in jail?
Oh, I was in jail. Oh, I was in general population.
So you're going to be at least up to 2 weeks in jail?
For sure. Okay. Yes. And
Can I ask you something real quick?
General population. And
how long are you in Midland before they come to get you? Well, because I'm curious if Dave comes to visit you. Okay, go ahead.
He didn't come to visit, but backstory to that is his brother Jaron, who he tried to come bail me out, and they're like, his bail set at like $1,500, and Jaron pays the bail, and he's like, okay, well, do I wait here for him? They're like, oh no, he's not going anywhere. That's just the bail he had for the ticket for getting pulled over in Midland. Like, he ain't going nowhere. So Jaron eats $1,500, which, as soon as I got back after the stint I did, he made me pay him back, obviously. But
sure.
Right.
So I am sitting in Midland County Jail for like 10 days at this point. I'm getting really good at spades. I'm getting really good at dominoes. And I'm really like thinking, it's like, maybe they're not going to come get me, right? The 13th day.
No. Lucky 13.
The 13th day. I'll never forget, they call my name Palumbo, bag and baggage, which means get your shit, come up front, you're going home.
Yeah.
I was gathering up all my stuff. See you fellas, I'm going home. I get out front, there's two big old dudes waiting there with handcuffs, and I'm talking shackles, like death row, like wrist shackled to your ankles that are shackled by a chain.
What? What the heck did you do?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
No.
Okay.
If you're getting extradited, that's how you're rolling. Okay. But what's funny is I was telling people that when I was locked up, I was like, what are you in here for? And I was like, fishing without a license, man. Damn game warden got me. They're like, no, are you for real? Better buy your license. It takes part of my life. Ain't messing around. So anyway, I'm like, okay, what next? They're like, well, you're going to get on this van and we're going to drive you back to where they want you.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, well,
van or bus?
A 1995 Chevy Astro van.
Ooh.
Right? With two bench seats in the front for the drivers and a little small section where they had like a shitty foam mattress where they could take turns sleeping, the drivers could, and then a partition wall.
Yep.
And then 8 like old ass plastic stadium seats that are unbearable to sit on to watch a baseball game. There was 4 on this side and 4 on that side. So I'm looking, you and me are touching knees the entire way.
So wait, it was full?
Oh yeah.
They were taking, wait. They're taking 8 people from Midland?
Nope. Something else I learned about extradition is they're not just coming for you or you. You're stopping and picking up.
Oh.
They have a route.
So you're zigzagging through America.
In a span of 8 days spent in an Astro van.
No, 8 days?
8 days.
Wow.
I was in 15 different county jails from Texas all the way back to Pennsylvania. Wow. And so like say it's nighttime, right? Drivers getting tired, or, you know, they'll stop like every 4 hours for a bathroom break. The only places they stop are other county jails. So they don't stop at Walmart and let you go in and use the bathroom.
Right, that makes sense.
They're going to call, hey, we got Johnson County Jail coming up here in 15 minutes. They're going to call and say, hey, we got 8 on board, 8 bathroom stops, 8 bottles of water. They're going to hike you into that county jail. You're going to use the bathroom, get on the bus, and you're going on your way. But they strategically do it to where they're picking people up and dropping people off along the way, right? So I will never, ever forget this. So they picked me up in Midland. We're going from Midland, and I can tell we're working our way south, like going towards San Antonio. We stop in San Antonio, drop somebody off, pick somebody up. Next stop is Houston, Harris County Jail. And I don't know if you know anything about Harris County, Texas, but it is downtown Houston.
Okay.
Like,
rough.
Get up.
Rough. Like, you know the show The First 48? They've got a Harris County show just on, like, Harris County's bad. So they're marching us into, like, the holding cells, right? And they've got this other dude in there that they just brought in, right? And they're kind of frisking him in the holding deal. And this cop reaches down by this dude's knee and pulls out like a meat cleaver that this dude had on him while he was in the back of the cop car that brought him in. And they pulled this. I was like, where the am I right now, dude? Like, what is going on? Like,
oh my,
what did I do in my life so wrong?
That's what I'm still wanting to know. Like, what
we'll
the
get
heck
there.
did you do?
We'll get there.
Oh my gosh, you're killing me.
So anyway, like I said, it's not just, oh, hey, Joe, we're here to get you, and we're going to take you home now to where they want you.
Right.
It's not that at all. So we leave Harris County, which is Houston, and we go straight south, right? And we go to Laredo County. Laredo is on the border. Like, we're driving down, and I'm seeing signs for, like, U.S. Customs, Border Patrol, Port of Entry, like the whole deal. And I'm like, where are we going? And we get to Laredo County. Looks like a castle, big wrought iron gate, downtown. Looks like Little Mexico, right?
Okay.
And I walk in there, and literally out of all of the dudes that I was on the bus with, the drivers, and every single employee of Laredo County Jail, I was the only gringo I could see. I was like, I thought Harris County was bad. We get to Laredo, I was like, this is bad.
Are you ever scared?
Not scared. Nervous, maybe.
Yeah.
Not scared.
I mean,
it's like you're
was that okay? Let me rephrase the question. So, is there ever a time when the doors open and there's a prisoner, I guess, for lack of better words, that's coming in? You're like, oh man.
No,
like,
not even with the cleaver behind his
maybe
knee or whatever.
maybe
that.
Maybe if they would have stuck me in the cell, the dude that had the cleaver on him in Harris County, maybe. But no.
Are you talking to any of these guys while you're driving?
Having
conversation,
trying to make small talk, you know. But it's like I'm very petty crime to what a lot of these guys have done, so I don't really have a lot to really talk about. But
because what did you do? You're not going to tell me yet. So
we'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there. Later in the show, Joe reveals his crime.
Trust me, it's not a huge offense. I promise you. This is no big deal. But but like, you know me, like I could walk into a room anywhere and make friends.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
So yeah, you know, talk to some guys, make some small talk, but like for the most part, no. But like, you know, I'll tell you, you realize when you get to a point throughout things that are going wrong in your life and you really think it's like, man, is this rock bottom? Like, is this rock bottom?
Yeah.
Right. And I'm thinking to myself on this journey, I'm like, this is the 6 to 8 inches of topsoil below rock bottom. Like, this is underneath of the rock where I'm at right now.
And that's coming, like, I'm assuming from the way the story sounds, like right after you probably felt like maybe you were like about to peak. Yes. Maybe like, I've got this rich guy offering me a job and I'm starting, and like you would think, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And that was exactly my mindset. Like, I was leaving that year and I was given this opportunity and I was like, this is it. Like, this is my golden ticket. This is going to be it. And then this happens literally 3 weeks into the golden ticket era, right?
So you assume it's ruined.
Assume.
Right.
But going back to, I'm not, okay, so my big thing in life has been, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. Okay. If you meet the right person at the right time that's willing to give you an opportunity, you need to take it. Mm-hmm. Like, you need to say, okay, this is obviously something I want to do. Mm-hmm. Like, you need to jump on it. Mm-hmm. But going back to the person that he is, you know, the guy that offered me the job, Dave, he paid all my court fees, hired me a lawyer. Granted, I had to pay him all that money back, right? Mm-hmm. So
you worked it off, didn't you?
Right. I mean, I worked for a year and a half for 50% of my salary just to pay him back.
Wow.
Right. But like, I knew that I didn't want to have that over my head, going forward. So
it's a good investment.
Right. So anyway, long story short, that I finally get to the county jail in my hometown where I'm supposed to be. Right. And I walk in, and sure as shit, one of the dudes behind the counter at the prison is one of my dad's best friends.
Wow.
Cool.
No bullshit. He goes, Joey, what are you doing here? And I was like, man, Speece, it's a long story. I said, I would love to tell you after I get a hot shower. And he's like, anything you need. He goes, here. Like,
so you didn't shower for 8 days?
I showered once in those 8 days.
Wow.
Yeah. I showered once in those 8 days, and I got home, and like I said, Dave, my business partner, he had hired me a lawyer, so I had a good attorney. He had gotten a few things dropped that would have potentially held me up from living the life that I have thus far, and but like I said, it's crazy how it all worked out. That particular year, that was all in a span of like 8 months of when I met you to then this happened. And I ended up having to sit 6 months in jail in my hometown.
What?
Right. But it could have been 18 to 2 years.
Okay. So there's a lot, there's a lot to unpack here.
But I only had to do 6 months.
Okay.
So there's a lot to unpack here. One, I have one simple, stupid question. When you're trying to have dialogue with these criminals who have much larger offenses than you have, do they look at you a little cross-eyed like, shut up, boy?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. Like, come on, man. You talking to me with that bullshit. Like,
so you just brought it right back to him?
Pretty much.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I mean, we're all in the same boat.
Yeah, pretty much. All right.
Look, I put my shackles on one wrist at a time, just like you, buddy. Look, you are no better than me at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real.
Yeah. We've all had one shower.
Right. Seriously. Right. Like,
yeah. Okay, so
but
there's...
yeah, I mean, just me being the kind of person that I am, I mean, like I said, I can walk into a room and talk to anybody. Yeah. So, of course, I'll try to be relatable. And some guy, I met a dude who was from a town not too far from where I grew up, and he was like, I was like, man, I'm going Cumberland County. He's like, man, I'm going Lancaster. I was like, we're neighbors, dude. But yeah, man, it was a long, crazy time of my life. Like, it was the longest 8 days I've ever experienced, for sure. I saw a lot of crazy shit, smelled a lot of really bad smells, ate some terrible food. But man, you know what they say, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger.
Yep, exactly.
That's the bottom line.
So I want to definitely get to what actually happened. We need to get to that.
Please.
I have a story about during that 6 months where Joe goes MIA. But my question, I guess, the next in chronological order, I think, is why in the world did Dave, after you only being in Midland for a couple days, go out on a limb for you to buy a lawyer, to do all of these things to help save you, I guess, when you really only knew him from 4 or 5 days of hunting in North Dakota?
For sure.
Have you guys ever had that conversation? I mean, was there something?
No, not necessarily.
How do you not have that conversation?
Not necessarily.
You don't ever go back and say, like, why did you, Dave? Why did you do this for me?
I mean, I know. I mean, I think I know. I think he saw something in me those first couple days.
First of all, I do know that he is a man of faith.
Right, for sure. Right. 100%. And I think he saw this as a opportunity to really give somebody a helping hand that truly might need it. Now, whether it pays off or it bites him in the ass, that's still yet to be determined. But obviously, at this point, I would.
How many years has it been?
It's been 10 years, dude.
Yeah.
That was the same.
That's
year
right. That's right. Right.
You know,
no question.
So, you know, but no, you know, like, we just kind of have that.
And does he ever bring it up? So
No.
what's in the past is in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Surely he said something about like you do 6 months and then you're back.
Right. So
now you're back. What does he say?
So I'll never forget this either. I get back to Midland. So the day I get out of jail, he literally bought me a plane ticket. He's like, "You're on the next flight back to Midland." So my dad came and picked me up, and shout out to my dad. He came and visited me every week when I was in jail.
Really?
SRP.
SRP, Sam Palumbo. Love him.
Every week.
I wish you could meet Sam.
He showed up every week to see me. So anyway, so Dave and my dad had been talking. He's like, "Hey, you know," he told my dad, he's like, "Look, I already booked Joe a ticket. We got his release date. Go pick his ass up, take him straight to the airport, fly him right back to Midland." And I did. I flew right back to Midland that day. Like, I wasn't out of jail 2 hours, and I was on a plane.
Wow.
Back to Midland. And I get back, and I shoot him a text. "Hey, bud, back in town. Thanks for everything." He's like, "Come up to the office, 9 o'clock Monday morning."
Do you know where the office is?
Yeah, I know
okay,
it.
you've been
Right.
there for 2 days.
I come up to the office, and he goes, walk in, he goes, "Shut the door." I shut the door behind me, and so, "Yes, sir." And he asked me a couple questions. "How was blah, blah, blah. How was it? Small time. It fucking sucked, you know. Never want to go back," kind of deal. And he goes, "The way I see it, Joe, you got two options. You can pack all your shit and go back to where you came from, or you can stay down here and work it off and be a man." Obviously, I took option number 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And there was
did you even think about it?
not once.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going back to where I just came from.
The demons.
Because you'd already kind of decided that anyway.
100%. So getting to
What
that
happened?
whole, so I was trying to leave Pennsylvania where I grew up that year, that summer,
Yeah.
regardless.
Yeah.
I had gotten very heavy into drugs.
Okay.
I was 100% a full-blown heroin addict for 6 years of my life.
Whoa.
Right? Started with prescription pills, you know, and then from there graduated to the big leagues. And
When you
I
say
was-
full blown heroin addict, what does that look like? I mean, you watch the movies and it's like
Have you
the
ever seen,
junkies are like just shooting up
okay.
nonstop.
You ever seen Requiem for a Dream with Jared Leto and Marlon Wayans?
I can't remember if I've
Okay.
seen that.
I've never seen that.
Well, we should cue that up, but you should watch that movie, and
Okay.
that'll explain 6 years of Joe's life. But
Okay.
yeah, a really big turning point for me was had my head buried in a bathroom in a Motel 6 because I was puking so bad because I was going through such terrible heroin withdrawals, like sticking needles in the same holes in your arms, like
How did you even get on it?
snowball effect, dude. You start small and you work your way up. You're
Okay, so tell me what happened.
You're always chasing the next high. Like whenever you're in full blown addiction mode, right? It's all about how can I get higher?
Mm.
And it's like you start with, you know, swallowing a pill, and then it's snorting a pill, and then it's like, well, let me see if I can boil this down and shoot it up. And then it's like, well, let me see if this other stuff tastes as good as this. And come to find out it tastes even better. And it's like, holy shit. And next thing you know, you're standing in South Philly with $3,000 in your pocket, trying to buy as much heroin as you can to go back home.
$3,000.
Right? Like, been there, dude. Like, I used to go to some rough neighborhoods, right? So anyway, I'm living this kind of lifestyle for at least 5 years.
Okay.
Right? I've burnt every bridge I've crossed.
This is why you don't want to go back home to begin with?
Well, this is why I was leaving
Yeah.
that summer.
But were you clean?
No, not at
No.
the point. No, that's what I was running away from. Right.
Okay.
There had to have been a moment when you were
Big
like,
time.
I got to get out of this.
100%. So we'll never forget. Literally living in a Motel 6 night to night, right? Trying to come up, and I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, but I'm trying to come up with a way to pay this lady another $45 to let me sleep in her shitty hotel one more night, right?
Yeah.
So I'm laying in a shitty ass bathroom in a Motel 6, literally with my head in the toilet, because I can't come up with a way to get $10 to go score, right? And I call John Wardner.
So John Wardner is another hunting guide at the time.
Really good friend of mine from
Central
North
Dakota Lodge. He lives in Bismarck.
Right.
Good friend of ours too. Right. But he had a relationship with John because they were hunting guides together at CDL, or maybe even somewhere else before CDL.
Previous. So
Okay.
I knew that I had to get away and go far away, right? Because I'd gotten in some legal trouble. Like I'd got caught with possession but not like go to federal prison, like drug traffic, like just got popped with some weed and a couple pills. Like, and that's what all my warrants had stemmed from, because when I was going through all of this, I didn't ever go to court. I didn't show up to see my POs. I had all these different warrants. I was just running away from all of it. Right. Didn't give a shit. So fast forward to the summer of 2012, right? This 10 years ago. And, I'm laying in this motel and I'm thinking, what the hell am I going to do? Like, this is, like I said, this is rock bottom before I got on the extradition bus deal. But anyway, so, I called John Wardner and I said, hey man, I need somewhere to go. And he literally didn't even ask a question. He goes, come to my house.
Man, I wish you could know John Wardner. Just a freaking salt of the earth.
Literally, I hang up the phone with him and my next phone call was to my dad. And I said, Dad, and he's like, yeah, what's going on? And I tell him, like, come clean. And it's all, of course.
So he knows nothing?
No, he knew. He knew. You know, he had kicked me out of his house. Like, he knew, you know, but I was like, hey, I just got off the phone with John. I need $250. He goes, for what? I said, I need a one-way ticket to Bismarck. He goes, okay, when are we leaving? Those are exact, when are we
leaving?
Right, like, you know what I mean? Like,
so did he go with you, or
he took me to the airport?
Gotcha.
You know, he's like, when are we leaving? Right.
Okay.
So,
because he knows John,
right,
from hunting. Yeah.
Anyway, so said, hey, I need money for a flight. So my dad got on that night, booked me a flight from Philly to Bismarck, and he's like, where are you? And I said, I'm at the Motel 6 on the Carlisle Pike. And anybody that knows from where I'm from knows exactly where that is. But so I'm at the Motel 6 on the Carlisle Pike. He goes, I'll be there 5 o'clock in the morning, because I had like a 10 a.m. flight out of Philly, so 2-hour drive. I'll be there at 5 a.m. No bullshit. Shows up 5 a.m. and I, like, that night, of course, I'm thinking, oh my God, there's no way I'm doing this. I need to call my dad back. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. Right. I ain't leaving.
Panic sets in.
Leaving.
Yeah. Right.
So he shows up and like, are you coming? I said, yeah, I'm coming. And I had one.
Did you get one more high?
I had one bag of heroin left that I didn't use that night, because what I had that night was either going to be enough to kill me or not. Right. And it didn't. So got up that next morning. My dad picks me up. We drive to Philly. He drops me off. And before I walk through security, I go to the bathroom and I shoot up one more time. Throw my needle in the trash can. And that was literally the last time I've ever done hard drugs, was that day.
Wow.
Yep. July 24th, 2012.
So you're high on heroin on the entire flight to Bismarck.
So I get to Bismarck. John picks me up. Lived in his basement for like 10 days. Went through some of the most horrible withdrawal you could ever go through. I was like literally living on NyQuil.
And he knows the whole story. Like, okay.
Did you do that all on your own, or did you go to like a?
No, I'm not a very huge believer in rehab unless you do it the right way.
Okay.
So, the way I feel about that is if you're going to do rehab and you're all in and you're like, okay, I'm done. I'm all in. You got to go and you got to never come back. Like, you can't go to rehab for 30, 60 or 90 days, come home to the same environment, the same triggers, the same enablers, the same anything.
Friends.
You walk down the street. If you walk past a Taco Bell where you used to get high, that's a trigger.
Yeah.
You can't do that. It's never going to work.
Right.
Like you literally have to leave for it to work. And at this point in my life, I had seen a lot of my friends go and come back. Right.
And it didn't work.
No, of course not. And some of my own family, my brothers. I mean, we all struggled with it. We all struggled with addiction. And I'm so fortunate to say to this day that all three of us made it out and are clean and living incredible lives to this day.
Yeah.
Like,
That's awesome.
I guarantee you there's a lot of people from our hometown that thought no way would have thought that all three of us would have made it out.
People were probably making bets on the other side of that. Like, who's not going to make it through this?
I'm serious. And like, it's terrible to say, but it's the truth. Like, but yeah, like if you're willing to make that big of a change in your life, dude, you got to be all in. Like you got to totally say, all right, I'm leaving this place and I ain't ever coming back. Now, excuse me.
Good one.
That crown's starting to kick in. I think it might be a little Haley's veggie soup. But like now, looking back at it now, like if I were to move back home, I would be totally fine. Like I am
a decade later, you'd
completely different person than I even was.
You've been back. You've been back to visit weddings and whatnot. Heck, you got married back there, didn't you?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh no, I can't ever go back to my hometown. Right. But shout out Bowling Springs, Pennsylvania, home of the Bubblers. Shout out. So, but that's where all of this had stemmed from. And all of this was in a 1 year span of where it's like, okay, I'm going to change my life, whether it's on my own or with a little bit of influence from others. And it just so happened that the time that I was deciding to do this for myself was the same year I met y'all.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks later, the same hunting trip, essentially, I meet the dude that I'm now business partners with for the last 10 years in West Texas.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying I had an epiphany or that something happened to me that night in that hotel room, but looking back 10 years later now, I literally feel like something was nudging me in the right direction, saying, look, you're going to have multiple opportunities in your life that are going to come up very soon. And you need to be fucking straight. Like, you need to be on point. And turns out that was the same year I met you guys with Heartland Waterfowl, and I meet Dave. And a year after that, I reconnect with Kate and we get married. Like, so crazy.
We're going to take a break here in a second,
deal,
but tell Jill about who Kate. So Kate is his wife.
Shout out Kate.
But back in the day.
Yeah. So, I knew Kate when we were growing up together in Pennsylvania.
In high school?
We went to different schools, but we ran around with a lot of the same people.
Okay.
And it was crazy. I went through all of this crazy stuff, and I get out of jail and I get back to Texas, and I messaged Kate one day on Facebook. And
dang Facebook.
and now we're married.
And where was she still in Pennsylvania?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I really duped her into moving to West Texas.
Oh, wow.
Not going to lie. Because every time she would come to West Texas to visit me, we would go somewhere else. We would leave Midland. Because Midland isn't very scenic.
Yes. You're 100% correct, Jill.
But totally duped her to move to West Texas. But yeah, it's... and I wouldn't be anywhere definitely right now without her help, because she's my rock. Shout out Kate.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why you've probably been saved as well, like there's been a lot of different moving parts to this. You talked about meeting us, meeting Dave, but then Kate coming back into your life.
Yep.
There is a particular story that I want to get into after the break that, because you and I connected, became friends, and all of a sudden you go MIA, and then I figure out why you go MIA. We'll talk about that next when the Papa Ron podcast returns.
The Papa Ron Podcast is brought to you by Dumar Solutions. Dumar Solutions, offering affordable chemical and PPE solutions for any industry. Automotive, industrial, manufacturing, concrete, and asphalt construction. Also offering kitchen cleaners, corrosion control, and specialty coatings. Detergents, cleaners and degreasers, laundry care, floor care, odor control, personal hygiene, and much more. Do more with Dumar. Inquire with any of your needs at DumarSolutions.com. That's DOMARE Solutions.com. Now back to the Papa Ron Podcast. Here's Ronnie Phillips.
And Jillian Gregg.
It's a Palumbo.
One of these days, I'm going to get that imaging done, Jill. I just don't know how soon it's going to take or how long it's going to take. All right. What a fascinating story. And, of course, I've heard bits and pieces of this story over the years that Joe and I have been friends and hunted together.
Probably heard a little bit more tonight, though.
I have, yeah. I mean, it's a little bit more in detail, which I appreciate.
Dude, it's
Here's
crazy.
the thing about this podcast is that I've always wanted it to be two things. One, the first thing that I always want people to understand when they listen to this show is that I want it to be 100% authenticity. 100%. No matter what we're talking about, the podcast, Jill and I have talked about this off the air. The podcast experts will tell you, hey, pick, whether, because, a lot of what I've covered in 19 episodes is about mental health, whether it's depression, anxiety, PTSD, whatever, like pick something, stay in your lane, go down that road and
pick a topic and then stick to 15 to 20 minutes. And Ronnie's like,
And I'm pretty much just a middle finger to everything that they say.
Some people are a lot more interesting than just 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah, true.
So those are the ones we want to hear about.
I've got podcasts that are an hour long. I got podcasts that are over 3 hours long. I've got stories anywhere from depression to a teenager being abducted and murdered. And
I listened to Joe Rogan today for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Right. The thing about a podcast, it's not like, because I get that theory. Not that that's what we're here to talk about, but I get that theory of like, people's attention span. But like, I can go listen to a podcast, whether it's yours. Let's see, who else do I listen to? Granger Smith. I love his podcast.
He's so good.
Two Bears, One Cave. Shout out Bert and Tom.
Okay.
One of my favorites too.
Or
Bert
it could be like a sermon from church, but if it's in a podcast form and you just pause it and then you go back to it whenever you want. So it doesn't matter. You can listen it 20 minutes at a time if that's what your drive is.
And if it's not your jam, you don't listen to it.
Right.
You just
go to the next one.
You go on to the next one. Right. Exactly. Like I like Joe Rogan as a guest. I think he's the master, right? Like he's the king of podcasting, but I don't listen to every single episode, every single one. Like he has an interesting guest. Like we were going to North Dakota and Dave Mustaine's on there, the lead singer of Megadeth. And I was like, I remember jamming to Dave Mustaine. He used to play lead guitar for Metallica.
No doubt.
Yeah, I'm going to listen to that.
I'm in.
Oh, wait a minute. Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook?
Actually,
that was a good one. That was. Did you hear that one?
No.
Oh, you should listen to that one.
The
Man,
FBI thing.
Where Facebook or Meta is going.
Yeah.
Why am I promoting Joe Rogan on my podcast? We're moving on anyway. So the point is that this is a humanity podcast, which means we talk about all kinds of different things. There's not a time frame. The only reason there's a time frame on this is that we're going to try to keep it to an hour and a half because Joe's got to get up and drive to North Dakota early in the morning. So we're going to try to keep it an hour, which is actually significantly shorter than a majority of the podcasts that we've done. But anyway, I said before the break that when we came back, I wanted to talk about something that I found a little bit interesting. So, and I'm not real sure how much of this I can actually say, but
what I remember is I was trying to get your address to write you a letter.
Well, that's okay. So I got the letter. This is where I was going with this.
So I had always thought,
so
I'm in jail. I'm in jail.
He's in jail.
I'm in jail.
He just came to Kansas City and partied and spilled drinks all over me.
This was 3 weeks after the party at PBR.
Yeah, right.
And all of a sudden he's gone missing.
Right. So I figured out Ronnie's address. So I want to write.
Which, by the way, how did you find it out?
I had a friend that I met at PBR that night.
Was she a buckle bunny?
Maybe.
Okay.
And we were in
so
contact.
This was where I wasn't sure what I could talk about.
We were in contact, and after I'd been in jail, and I remember I was talking to her, and I was like, I need Ronnie's address.
Right.
And she's like, I think
she would frequent PBR.
Yeah.
Right. And at the time, I thought Ronnie's full name was Ronnie Phillips.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, it's not? I'm kidding.
So anyway, I find out, I get his address, and it said,
did she ask me at PBR for the address? Because I don't think I remember getting that question.
If you remember, I wrote your name as Philip Althouse.
Oh, that's right. I
as
forgot
in
about that.
Rachel's
maiden name. So you get a piece of mail that has Philip Althouse.
Hey,
Yeah, coming from the Pennsylvania Corrections Facility that's stamped on the envelope, and I'm like,
but you don't even know he's in jail.
No,
because he's just gone.
No.
As a matter of fact,
Did you even almost open? Did you almost? Did you think about?
No,
not opening it?
I didn't have any concern with opening it. I was really like,
there's no anthrax in it or anything.
Well, hey, I don't know what you got in there.
I mean, that was a thing back in that day. Anyway, but no, I was pissed because here I've got this buddy, and I'm thinking I'm really connected to him.
Right.
This person that he's talking about for the longest time is asking me at PBR, like, what happened to Joe? I'm like, I don't know what happened to Joe.
Right.
I'm calling, I'm texting, no reply. I'm asking Nate Flynn.
Nobody knew.
I'm asking, like, Joe falls off the face of the earth.
Literally.
All of a sudden, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 weeks later, a letter shows up to my house in Green Valley.
Yeah.
And it's to Ronnie Althouse with a stamp on the envelope from the Pennsylvania Corrections Facility. And I'm like,
completely wrong names, might I add.
Yeah. But I'm seeing this stamp and I'm not putting two and two. And I'm like, why am I getting a letter from the corrections facility
with my wife's last name?
With my wife's maiden name.
Yeah. So then I open it up and I know I have that letter around here somewhere. I don't know why I didn't think about pulling that, because boy, that would be fun to read right now. Boy, that would be fun to read. Anyway,
maybe not.
So basically he comes clean, is like, look, I ran into some stuff and this is what happened and blah, blah, blah. And so like, oh my God,
he's alive.
He's alive. Yeah. And so they'll call all the HW guys and everybody that's associated with him, like, hey, everybody can relax. He's fine. He's back in Pennsylvania.
Just gonna be a little late.
Serving his time.
Just gonna be a little late.
So one of the things I found that was interesting was I think I remember you telling me the story last year in North Dakota when we were filming our second trip up there. So it would have been the November trip, was your work release program. So it wasn't all that bad. Like, you spent 6 months in jail, but you had
people ask me all the time, tell my story too. And they're like, so, what was jail like, dude? I'm always like, you ever seen Shawshank Redemption?
Nothing like that.
Nothing like that.
Or I'll always be like, you remember that show Oz on HBO years ago?
Yeah.
You remember, like,
nothing like that.
But no, so I had like what's the technical term? Like, I wasn't trying to like hurt anybody, like with my offense. Like, I didn't have any, like aggravated assault, no, it was just like
non-violent.
Thank you.
Okay.
I had non-violent charges.
Okay.
And
which, by the way, did we ever get to what it actually was?
Just petty drug charges and never showing up to court.
Okay.
It all.
I knew it had something to do with not going to court.
From that piled up. Yeah.
I mean, when you get a bench warrant, that means you got to show up, dude. They're going to bring you. And then I had like 15 of them. So anyway, but I had non-violent charges, and they were all misdemeanors. So I was eligible for a work release program, and which means you get to be in a separate block. You get to wear street clothes. I'm not in an orange jumpsuit 24/7 anymore. You get contact visits, not to be confused with conjugal visits. Totally different thing, which I also found out the hard way. So
you tried, huh?
My. Okay.
But I was on a work release program. So every day or 4 days a week, I would go to work at a restaurant and I would wash dishes or I would bus tables.
You were a bartender.
No,
I thought you said you. No, I thought you were a bartender.
No,
a
barkeep, a back bar. Maybe some days. Maybe,
I thought you were bartending for a little bit. I was like, how in the world did they let you do
there,
that?
Like Tom Cruising, like doing cocktail.
You're the hippie shake.
No, but I'll tell you what the perks were of it is I got to eat bomb ass food every night. I didn't have to go back and eat jail food. Right. So, but yeah, like, don't get me wrong. I'm never going back. And I hope to never, ever do anything in my life to what would require me to ever go back to jail, because it was by far the worst thing I've ever gone through. But no, like, I wasn't like in solitary, eating bread and water for 6 months. No, it wasn't that. It was a lot of cards, a lot of gambling, And
for like cigarettes,
and still the drugs, right? Like I'm assuming
because we would get drug tested.
Okay, so I'm confused then. If you were in jail and you weren't doing drugs, you weren't shooting up.
No, because at this point I'd already been clean like 8 months.
Oh, okay. I thought you were coming clean with Dave.
No, I was already clean.
He went to Bismarck and got clean.
Right.
That's where you were having the withdrawals in Bismarck. So you're clean in jail.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I was a little bit confused.
No. This was 8
I'm
months.
with you now.
This is 10 months after the fact.
So how are you gambling in jail?
Soups.
Cigarettes?
No tobacco. No any kind of. You have the main currency is food or commissary items, right? So every week you would get your mom or your dad or family relative to put money on your books, that like money on your account where you can order commissary.
Okay.
Right? You can order food, and it hell of a list. I mean, if you wanted a freaking iPod, you could buy one. It's going to cost you a bunch, but you could, if you could afford it, you could have some nice amenities in jail.
Okay.
But food is the main currency.
Okay.
Ramen noodles, cup of noodles, those little tuna helper packets. Cheese Whiz was a big one.
Oh, Cheese Whiz with some crackers.
Hey, you throw 2 Cheese Whizzes down,
you're all in.
think I'm playing. You can do a lot of things with some Cheese Whiz.
Okay,
I ain't playing. But no, like so, and like, look, don't get me wrong. I am very. I did a lot of shady things, and like I said, I burned a lot of bridges, and I've been still mending fences to this day of relationships that I screwed up 10, 12 years ago, but I tell people all the time, I'm sorry for a lot of the things that I did, but I don't necessarily regret any of it, because all of that shit has made me into who I am today.
100%.
And has made me genuinely appreciate everything that I have to this day. I don't take anything for granted anymore.
So the cliche question of like, if you had it to do over again, like my daughter just asked me this today, if you could live your life from birth all the way up to how old you are now, would you do it again? And she didn't mean like to do, she doesn't really think like I have anything to live over or like
Charlie
over.
Or Everly's asking
Everly, yeah, she's 9. So she's probably just thinking like you could be a kid, because she goes, you could be a kid again.
Right.
And I was like, I don't think so. And she's like, I would. And she's 9. She just
I would change everything.
No, but it wasn't about it was just doing it again. It was, she thought she could like go back. If she could go back and do it again, just for fun, just for the fun of it. So
no, like
you
I
wouldn't.
Said, I've been in a lot of very precarious circumstances, but no, I wouldn't change any of it. I wouldn't change where I came from or the things that I've gone through, because I literally, genuinely, I feel like all of those things have made me into who I am today, the personality that I have today, the jokes that I can make today, and the stories that I can tell today.
Right.
And some of them might be able to help people. Like, I want people to know that, look, no matter how deep you think you are, you can always climb out. 100%. It's like positive mental attitude is huge for me. Like, I wake up every day and I try my best to feel good every single day, because I've been to rock bottom. I've been under rock bottom. I know every day when I wake up, it could be a whole hell of a lot worse today. Like,
you can take as many hot showers every day as you want at this point.
No,
you don't have to get one in 8 days.
No shit.
Right.
And that's no bullshit. Like, but just the fact of waking up every day and knowing, like, look, I have conquered huge things in my life.
Right.
A lot of things that, maybe a lot of people haven't been able to conquer. And don't get me wrong, addiction is real. I 100% believe that. But the whole thing that it's like hereditary, or you can't get over it, or you can't get out of it.
I was just going to ask you that, because you said your brothers, like all of you. So do you think it?
I mean, my mom was in and out of rehab.
But you don't think it's hereditary?
No.
Okay.
I don't
know what I think about that, so
I think it's
curious.
you're a product of your own environment.
That's what all the time.
That's what I think it is. If you're surrounded by addicts, you're going to be an addict. If you're surrounded by positive people, you're going to be positive. If you're surrounded by, I don't know what a good
mediocrity.
If
you're going to be a mediocre person.
Exactly. Like if you surround yourself with positive people, positive thinking people, you're going to be positive every single day. And that's what I've done the last 10 years. I've literally surrounded myself with positive, go-getting attitude kind of people. Like if you're not going to wake up and do your job today, then somebody else is.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to get up and go to work every single day. Mm-hmm. But just waking up and feeling that way every day, it's like, hey, you know, and I'm up today. I got a lot of shit to do, but it could be worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like driving up here today, get a blowout on the trailer, be on 4:30.
Did you really?
On 4:35, sitting in Overland Park, 5 o'clock rush hour traffic, sitting there changing a tire. But you know what? It sure could be worse.
Mm-hmm.
You know where I could be? Sitting in county jail, baby. Eating
playing dominoes.
Hey.
Or on that van.
It was seriously, right?
That van was probably worse than county.
And
probably.
And too, like, there's a whole thing to be said too about like when it comes to addiction or trying to get clean is the out of sight, out of mind thing. So my whole thing is I moved 1,500 miles away from anybody I knew who I could get drugs from.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the option to wake up and call 35 people or go stand on a corner in South Philly and wait for somebody to walk up to me.
Right.
I didn't have that option. And if you don't have that option, then you're not going to do it. You know what I mean? So there's a huge thing to be said to where you are going to completely separate yourself from that to where you don't even have the opportunity. And that makes it a whole hell of a lot easier to get through.
Right.
If you don't even have the opportunity. Because if you have the opportunity, you're going to find a way.
Yeah.
Trust me. If you're an addict, you're going to find a way.
I want to ask you a really tough question that you're probably not qualified to answer.
I'm not a doctor.
But you are a recovering addict.
For sure.
Right? Or recovered. I mean, are you ever recovered?
Oh.
Are you recovered?
100%.
Like you never have any urges?
No, not one. Mm-mm.
Right now you're just trying to just kick.
Now I'm trying to quit Copenhagen.
Quit Copenhagen, exactly.
I'm trying to quit Copenhagen now.
And it's so funny because we were talking about this when you were driving up here and like, man, I've gone, like they say it takes 21 days.
21 days kick.
And now I'm having this conversation with you. It was like, dude, you just kicked heroin. Like, why are you like
10 years ago, dude?
Okay.
Right.
Anyway.
That was a long time ago.
So here's the question that is going to be tough for you to answer. And it's been weighing on my heart and on my mind since you said it was, I said, how did you get on heroin? And you said one thing led to another.
100%.
So there I go with so again. Anyway, I say so a lot. Anyway. It's a crutch. So you started on cigarettes and then it led to prescription drugs. So before you answer the question, we obviously know it starts as little as cigarettes or nicotine or something, and then it leads to something else.
Right.
If you're a parent and you've got a teenager who is you.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Because you're trying to have kids, right? At some point, you and your wife, you want to have kids, right?
Talking about it.
Right.
And you, like, I have a 9-year-old daughter. All right. So, like, I pray that that she doesn't have to go through the struggle that you went through.
I do too. Yeah.
But what do you do if you're a parent to, I mean, you love your dad. He's your brother. Like your dad is like a brother to you. That's how close you are. You talk to him every day, if not multiple times a day.
But
so I know how close you are.
There was a lot of years where it wasn't that way though.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, as I'm, a fairly young parent, if that makes sense, or fairly young dad, not a young person by any means, but young dad.
Older than me, by the way. My kids are older, but
Hey, I just want to be like, what do you say? Like, what would you say to a parent who's got a kid who's going through that, one, and two, what would you say to the person who's playing around with cigarettes, playing around with, pharmaceuticals, and your story obviously showing that one thing led to another. What would you say to both of those parties?
I would. And I've had this conversation with Kate, and I have talked about this, recently also. She's asked me, whenever our kids are 14 or 15 and you catch them smoking weed, what are you going to do? Ask them where they got it. I don't know. But what I think it would be, I think the best way to handle it is to be transparent, be upfront, try to educate your kids, let them know that, hey, some things are okay to an extent. There are there's other avenues to take other than going down this road. And if you educate them and if you talk to them about it and let them know up front, rather than Joe Schmo who's just trying to take advantage of them or sell it to them, if you do it first and tell them, hey, look, you're going to have these opportunities come up in your life where people are going to try to peer pressure you into this, or they're going to offer this to you, or they're going to try to sell it to you or whatever. And they're going to act like they like you or, but I think, and I can't say how I would do it as a parent because I'm not a parent yet, but what I think I would do is I would try to be transparent to them and tell them to an extent some of what I've gone through, some of, what can go really bad, but obviously not the whole story, right? But just educate them to where it's like, hey, yeah, I know about this shit. I don't want anything to do with that. That's like, terrible. I don't want to go down that road whatsoever. But, there are things that are out there that, you can still do and you can still have a good time and, you can still try to experiment. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. Like, I think that, kids should smoke cigarettes and try beer and drink before they get to college, at least, because that's where the bad stuff tends to happen. That's where girls do get taken advantage of, or at college parties where it's like, this girl ain't never drank before in her life. Let's get her super drunk tonight. What do you hear about on the news tomorrow? Oh, some 18-year-old girl got whatever, But
that's not what I thought you were going to say.
But if you educate your kids and tell them, like, look, here's how this can go, and here's also how it can go. And look, I don't think it's any big secret that I like to smoke a little bud every once in a while, but, I can sit at home at the end of the night, take 2 tokes of weed, and be just fine. Not even think about, I need to go out and score, anything like that. Like, there are other avenues you can take other than going down a long, depressing, dark road of addiction.
Wouldn't you say that marijuana, or at least, and I'm asking this because I know the answer because we've had the conversation prior, but in your mind, marijuana has been kind of your medicine through 100%. Everything that you've been through.
100%. Yeah, I would have never. So there's all kinds of, drugs that people will try to push on you, like at rehab facilities while you're trying to get clean. All they're trying to do is mask one drug with another. They're trying to make you less dependent on this and more dependent on this, right? It's all it is, right? And what I learned was through the whole deal is like, look, man, there is just nothing wrong with a little bit of weed and a little bit of whiskey. You don't need to. You don't need to.
Like a country song.
You don't need to But what I'm saying is, there's no need to go There's no need to go down that dark road, But I didn't know any better, and I had quite a few influences in my life that were showing me something different. But if I can influence somebody to look here, this is what I've gone. I have 100% been down that road and back. Right. You don't want to do that. Like, influence can go both ways. You can influence somebody to do something terrible with very little, or you can influence somebody to do something great with something little. Like, it just all depends on your influence and your surrounding environment. What we get back to, like, if you get it from the source and somebody that's been there, I think it carries a lot more weight than, trying to hear it from somebody else. But, like I said, I don't have kids, so I don't know. But yeah, I would hope that's how I would approach it. But like I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with letting your kids experiment to an extent and showing them or telling them, like, look, this can go very badly. And like I said, it happened to me, but that doesn't always mean that, you're going to end up in jail or dead.
So that's where I'm confused, and I'm going to challenge you because it kind of comes across a little bit hypocritical. And I know we've been friends for 10 years, right? So I'm not calling you a hypocrite, but if somebody's listening to this, they might be a little bit confused. You said that the reason you got addicted to heroin is because one thing led to another.
Right.
But now you're basically saying to anybody who's a parent, who's got a kid, who's a teenager, said, go experiment and try it out.
So like you would give them a list of like, this is okay to try. So like you said, smoking, and then you mentioned weed. So you're saying, okay, smoking, chew, right? Copenhagen, weed,
right.
Vaping, alcohol, and everything else is off limits.
Well, no.
Okay.
No, I'm not. Like, I wouldn't say. Look, I wouldn't come out and say, like, there's anything is off limits or not. Like, but if you educate them to where it's like, look, if you do this, this is going to go very, very badly.
Okay.
Very badly. But I mean, I don't know too many people that have ever OD'd on some weed ever in the history of weed.
Right.
But I can name 1,000 people that have OD'd on heroin or cocaine.
So you don't consider weed was a step for you? It wasn't a.
No.
It wasn't a. You got a buzz smoking a cigarette, and then you got a buzz off Copenhagen, and then you got high on weed, and you're like, what's better?
No.
Okay.
So and I should have clarified. I didn't start smoking weed one day and I was like, oh shit, I want to try heroin. That wasn't it. That wasn't it at all.
Right. You said pills.
Right. So
yeah.
I would smoke weed in high school, whatever. But what happened is got hurt, got prescribed some Percocets.
Pills, yeah.
Ate every single one of them in 2 days. And then my buddy got hurt. He got the same ones. It's like, let me get some of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, Johnny got hurt. Johnny, what'd you get? Oh, I got some Vikes. Let me get some of them. And it's like, that's how it all started. It started from being prescribed. Yes. It's not like, oh, man, I just smoked a joint. Man, now I really want to go shoot up. No, that is not it. And I should have clarified that. It wasn't like.
Were you smoking cigarettes then?
Oh, yeah, dude.
So,
yeah.
You think, and again, I'm just asking as a young dad. Mm-hmm. Smoking cigarettes wasn't the one thing that led to another thing?
No, but what I would say is that if you are a parent and your kid plays sports or does anything and they get hurt and your doctor prescribes them anything other than Motrin 800, flush that shit down the toilet.
Okay.
Because that's where it starts. It starts at home in the medicine cabinet.
Okay.
Right. Or if you have it yourself.
Right.
Because if a kid gets curious, I mean, because all a kid has to do, and I'm not saying like blaming you now, but I'm saying if a kid hears this podcast and goes, oh, wait, I saw the name of that in my cabinet.
No. Like,
so don't have it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, you look at 90% of people who are addicted to opioids in the country right now, it all stems from a prescription.
Right.
Got it.
From a surgery or something.
Okay.
And that's something that can be digged into a little bit deeper on another podcast about how people
Part 2 with Joe Palumbo.
How people are getting super rich on people ODing every day on prescriptions, and yet nobody says anything about it on the news.
That's true.
But look it up.
Yeah.
Look it up. Doctors are the biggest drug dealers on the planet, and they get paid billions for it. But like I said, that's a whole other can of worms.
It is.
But you're asking my opinion, but no.
Yeah, 100%.
It wasn't anything like, oh, hey, I smoked a joint or had a cigarette. Now I want to go shoot up. No.
Okay.
No, it had all stemmed from a previous exposure to opioids. Not like, oh, I'm just going to dive in head first. Okay. No, dude. But I do still very much agree or on board with you need to be transparent and try to teach your kids and, give them good information, not just, oh, here you are exposed to the wolves, because the wolves are on every corner, even in this neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And I think you both know that. Doesn't matter where you come from or what your background is. Drugs and addiction don't give a shit.
It's not even drugs. It's not even drugs.
Well, right.
That concerns me. Like I was talking about with this with my parents. Like I grew up in a small town of 3,300 people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we could get on our bike with a tackle box in one hand and a fishing pole in the other and ride our bike.
That's how I was.
3 miles to the nearest watering hole
that was
to go fishing.
Hey.
Let alone how dangerous it is to be riding your bike like that. Okay. Now I'm worried about if my daughter goes, and we live in I think, a pretty safe
bougie.
neighborhood.
It's bougie.
Did you see that giant skeleton?
That was pretty cool. It's
so
Halloween
cool.
decoration, folks. It's Halloween decoration.
Yeah, right.
So, but anyway, like I'm a little concerned just because you start talking about human trafficking and all the crazy junk that's out there in the world. Like, man, you know, so you talk about evil around every corner. Like it.
Yep.
We as parents have much more challenges today than our parents and our grandparents did.
Hey, I literally just had this conversation with Logan and Haley at their house.
Really?
As we were talking about kids, and they're like, "What about you and Kate?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're really close to." I'm knocking. Hey, I'm knocking on the back door, if you know what I mean. But we were literally just talking about this because they got 2 little girls, and it's like, man, it's everywhere. It doesn't matter what neighborhood you're from or what city you live in or what state you are. It's everywhere. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But I just hope that people, I don't know. Like I said, we all have differing opinions, and what I know is what I've been through and what I've gone through. And like I said, that's how I think that I would approach it with my kids whenever they're at that age. You know, I'm not going to be like, oh, here, Johnny, I got Dad rolled up a half a joint tonight. You want to smoke it? No, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
You know, but like if I catch him with a porno under the mattress and a half a joint next to the nightstand, then I'm going to know right where he was because I was there one day. I was 14, 15, 16 years old looking at porno mags and smoking joints too. Like, and I can relate to that and tell him like, look, some things are okay and some things aren't. You know, but if you touch that thing long enough, you're going to go blind. That's what my mom always said. But you know what I mean, though, dude.
I mean, I have readers now. I just said that. My parents listen to this podcast.
Perfect.
Hey, man, look, it's not easy for anybody to get. So it's easier for some than others, and I know it's probably easier for you than others, but it's still not easy to open up your book and be vulnerable and share all of your skeletons. And not only did you do it, you did it very articulately.
Well,
and
like I said, I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of. I went through a horrible period in my life, came out on the other side, and I've totally...
You're doing good, dude.
I don't want to say blossomed into a cute little flower, but I came out clean on the other side. Like, and
you do smoke weed. You got that hippie. You got that hippie flower going.
Hey, little devil's lettuce. Come on, but dude, like I said, there's no looking back at this point. Like, you just to be able to say that I overcame something like that to where, like I said, I still know people in my hometown that are still struggling.
Really?
Still.
Did they lean on you? Did they reach out to you? No, you didn't have that relationship.
No.
Yeah.
But still, it's like, man, but just.
Well, now you can just send them the link to the podcast.
For sure. And I want people to know, it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to get sucked in. There's always a way out. You just got to want to do it for yourself. And like I said, a little bit of willpower and a little bit of positive mental attitude goes a long way. You
got to be committed to change, and you got to understand the concept of being a product of your environment.
For sure.
And that's what you did. You were sick and tired of being sick and tired.
100%.
And luckily you knew a guy. I mean, think about, some people don't know people outside of their hometown.
I know.
Luckily you had been cultured a little bit through the hunting industry and being a guy that you knew people outside of the other states. Right. And no disrespect to the great state of North Dakota, but if you're going to get away,
that's the place to go.
Go to North Dakota where it's prairie pothole region, baby. And so kudos to John Wardner. Of course, I know John as well, and he's just salt of the earth. Kudos to Dave Simon for everything that he's done to bring you out, and kudos to you, dude. Your better half.
Kudos to you to being my friend through all the thick and thin.
Well, man, I
love you, buddy.
Mr. Althouse.
I think still.
She said it.
Yeah, exactly. I guess we'll end on this because we're at 1:33, an hour and 33 minutes. So at what point did you have aspirations of being on Heartland Waterfowl? Was it the minute we showed up there and you kind of became friends? Because
I'll tell you, it was before that. So that
to be on Heartland Waterfowl, or just to be on TV in general?
Well, a little bit of both. Okay, so like growing up and waterfowl hunting my whole life, I'd been on a couple of TV shows with Dad. Like we did a deal for like I don't know if it was DUTV or I don't know, one of the shows back in the day. But like I knew from a young age that like, look, I want to be a hunting guide. Like I want to be Wade Bourne on Ducks Unlimited, or I want to like be one of these guys.
Rest
right?
in peace, Wade.
Right, exactly. So, but after being at the lodge with Nate and meeting all the HB guys, you know, Mike, Sean, Skylar, and everybody, you know, had spent some time at deer camp up at Nate's place with them.
Yep.
Whenever I found out that year that HW was like possibly going to be a thing, like I said, I was like, oh shit, oh, this could be cool. Like, and then, like I said, Nate had said that y'all were going to come to the lodge, and I was like, hey, look, I'll do it, you know. But I literally knew like that year, whenever Nate had said about y'all coming and doing the pilot, I was like, dude, this is something that I want to be a part of, genuinely want to be a part of, because I liked everything that HB was doing, but I like to bow hunt, I like to deer hunt, but I'm not HB. I'm not going to say I'm not HB material, because I probably could be, but I'm, my true passion is waterfowl hunting. Right. Yeah. You know, that's, you know, my true passion is waterfowl hunting. And, so when I heard that, you know, this could be a potential thing, I was like, dude, I want to do this. Yeah. You know, and that's why I still kiss your ass to this day. Why do you think I'm sitting here doing this podcast?
There was some ass kissing going on there, but you know, again, it's about, and I can relate to it, but no, listen, let me just say this. I can relate to it because there was a point, and I've not been secretive about this, to where I felt like I hit my ceiling in radio. And I was trying to figure out, how can I parlay all of this media experience that I've had for 22 years into a passion that I have for the outdoors? And it just so happens that my wife's family has a relationship for years with the Hunsuckers, who, by the way, Mike Hunsucker is part owner of Heartland Bow Hunter.
Not to mention V's Italiano.
V's Italiano. Yes. So anyway, we get connected, and you think I wasn't kissing Mike's ass?
For sure.
Sean's ass, Rex Lechtel's ass.
For sure.
You know, and I'm just like trying to so I'm trying to take everything that I've learned from the radio side and the marketing side, the promotion side, and help apply it to them and what they're doing. And they're saying, hey, this guy from Q104 is helpful with us in this. Maybe, because he wants to do his own thing, maybe we should turn him loose to do what he's passionate about on the waterfowl side. Right. And then it's just weird how it all kind of comes together. You know, you just play to your strengths, and if you network right, and if you do it with integrity, then, you know, opportunities present themselves. And the opportunity didn't present itself to you as far as Heartland Waterfowl was concerned after that first hunt. We felt like, hey, Joe, we think you're a great hunter and you got a great personality, but you're going to have to buy a camera and learn how to run this thing and figure it out. And what does Joe do? He goes buys a camera.
Yep.
And because that's the prerequisite. You know, you can't be on the show if you don't know how to run a camera.
Right.
Got it.
Yep. So I went out, got a camera, bought freaking $1,500 in lenses, and I was like,
actually, you bought a lens from me.
I did.
You bought my old 24-70 Sigma.
And I had to learn about what aperture was and shutter speed and all this ISO bullshit. And next thing you know, it's like, oh, I'm filming a hunt, you know. But no, but I knew, you know, I didn't. I didn't know, obviously, then, any of us did, that HW would turn into what it has today, and we would.
That's the crazy part.
Sitting here talking about it, but let alone doing it. But
like, look at this.
But yeah, like, you know, I knew. You know,
remember joking about Craig Morgan on the Q104 morning show about winning a Golden Moose Award? Those are 2 Golden Moose Awards that Heartland Waterfowl has won. I mean,
I got them same two in my house.
Idea of us not only having a
bunch of slobs like
having
us.
A TV show. Alone. Just give me the show. Just give me the show and the opportunity to replace my radio station salary. I'm good. I don't need this. But then we do this, and then we've been able to do 10 years, and then it's growing to the YouTube original series.
I remember when Jim Shockey hit 10 years, and it was a big deal. Like, 10 years on outdoor television, pretty big deal. Like, a lot of people lose interest pretty fast. And
There are some shows that don't make it 2 years.
Right. I know. And it's just a testament to I think it's a testament to the kind of people that we are. I feel like we're all just a bunch of regular dudes, and people relate to that. It's everybody's pretty bunch of normal person outside the 1%ers, right? Like we're all just normal dudes. And I think that's what we try to portray and
authentic,
right? Come off as authentic and genuine. And, but no, dude, to look back at the first time we hunted together and all of the shit that we've been through since then, and the fact that we're still doing it, we're still friends, and everybody else.
And we still look forward to doing it. Some people get sick of hanging out with those same people or whatever, and they move on.
Hey, I can't. November 1st, I'm going to see you again.
Yes, you will.
I can't wait.
And every August, we always say, man, can't wait. We know early
Jillian,
season
are
geese.
you coming?
Where is this?
We're going to North Dakota, November 1st.
Snow?
Yeah.
Snow and ice.
We're going to North Dakota.
North Dakota.
But yeah, it's crazy.
I bet we could get Jill out on a local hunt, though.
Oh, there you go.
In our own backyard right here.
Never, let me think. Wait. I've never been hunting. You know how that would chap.
Not even like a dove hunt or something?
No. Do you know how that would chap my husband's hide if I went hunting with
a bunch of other
guys?
dudes? Oh, yeah.
And you didn't go hunting with him?
Yeah.
You should probably go knock that out.
Yeah. Shout out Jill's husband.
Or should I invite Matt to come hunting and then you come along?
Right. And then you're like, well, she has to come.
And then have Hudson come.
It's a Matt and Jill
Maybe have Hudson come.
He actually wants to hunt in Texas.
My
son.
Didn't me and Matt talked about this, right? Because he wants to go hog hunting.
Hi, I'm Joe.
Nice to meet you, Joe.
I did, but I told you guys on the phone because
this is who you were telling
Joe Palumbo,
Okay.
that where I crane hunt with. Yep.
Now that your opinion is totally skewered.
So Ronnie was hooking us up with a heroin addict.
Right.
This is
Thanks,
a great
Ronnie.
idea for our 13-year-old.
Thank you, Ronnie. Yeah. But no.
Anyway,
that's awesome.
Joe, I love you, bro.
Love you too, man.
I'm proud of you for what you've been able to accomplish. And I'm grateful to have you a part of this team.
It's crazy.
No. I mean, you said it best when you said not many people can overcome that.
For sure. And like I said, I'm grateful that everything that, HW has done for me and you have done for me. And I'm grateful to be here sitting in your freaking basement doing a podcast, dude. Like,
isn't it cool?
Like, seriously, million years.
Headphones on that give you a headache.
I know.
That's why I don't have
Can I take these things off yet?
Are you sick of them?
Here?
We're done.
Come on, I got to go to the bathroom. I'll see you guys
later.
later.
Go take a leak. All right, that's going to do it. Episode 19. Don't go too far because now you're going to screw up my camera here.
No.
Joe Palumbo from Heartland Waterfowl and 5 Land and Holding. Again, thanks to Rick Hunter, Rich Donovan, and of course the guys at Marathon Media Management. That's episode 19 of the Papa Ron Podcast.
You've been listening to the Papa Ron Podcast. If you enjoyed this show, hit subscribe now and tell your friends on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and other social platforms. To participate on the show, leave a message with your comments or questions by calling or texting 816-558-6389. That's 816-558-6389. Until next time, thanks for listening to the Papa Ron Podcast. Papa Ron Podcast.